Hi, this is Steve from LZ23. Here we strive to exert ourselves, elevate our health, evolve our bodies and mind so that we can be our healthiest and live longer and stronger. Today we're going to talk about longevity and health span, which are super popular subjects right now. And people the world over are doing all sorts of things with exercise, diet, biohacking strategies in their pursuit of living healthier, long lives. You may have heard of individuals like Brian Johnson. He has the Don't Die movement and Netflix special. And he has an idea of living a pretty long time. It's kind of extreme, not something that I aspired to or necessarily totally agree with, but I do appreciate he's kind of a human guinea pig. He says he's the most measured individual in human history, so we can learn a lot from things that he's doing. But there's many other people too. There's others who follow the blue zone areas like Okinawa, Japan, and Sardinia and Italy, and different parts of the Mediterranean, places also like Central America, Costa Rica, where people are regularly living to 100 years of age and trying to see how they eat, what they're doing, so that they live functionally to 100, and people try to imitate that. And there's other people who feel with all the changes in technology and AI helping in medicine that it's nothing to perhaps live to 120 or 140 or 160. They have aspirations for that. I kind of like the idea of Dr. Peter Attia talks about a centenarian decathlon, where you start training earlier in life so that in your marginal decade, which is like the last 10 years of your life, that you can still do things that you've always liked to do, but that's because you've trained basically through your life for it, to be able to ski or swim. Things like walking upstairs with groceries, being able to travel, walk through an airport, be able to put your baggage up into and when you're on the airport, in the airplane, things like that. So there's many ideas that people have that they associate, and it's very popular. Now, when it comes to these individuals or these influencers, and I use that word respectfully. A lot of folks don't like the words influencers. I can't think of anything better currently. If there's something out there, leave it in the comments below if there's some terminology that I can refer to them. But when I call them influencers, I say it respectfully. I respect a lot of things they do, but even for you, the listener here, I don't follow everything that they say, or use the expression, I don't blindly follow. They do use studies and research and many fine things, but it's not always easy to follow through everything that they say, or maybe don't even agree or believe all the things that they say. For instance, give an example, like, what's the proper diet? What's the proper way that everyone should eat? Well, that causes a frenzy of emotions that drive people. They get pretty passionate about it, whether it's the carnivore, keto, Mediterranean, paleo, vegan, and they all might have their pros and cons, but people are very passionate about it. But I personally agree with Stan Efferding, another individual who's an influencer, is a power lifter, bodybuilder, health fella. The best diet is the one that people will adhere to or follow. And I know in my case, I've mentioned before, and I'm working at it, but I'm a very picky eater. So I'll give you an example. If someone said that tuna fish is the foundation for a good diet, I'm not going to eat it. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the smell. I don't want it near me. If somebody said, here's $100, eat this can of tuna fish, I probably would decline, which some people would think that's pretty weird. I think I'm unique. Other people would definitely probably use the word weird. Whatever you decide, that's fine. I can go with it. But whether it's diet or any other aspect of health span and longevity, it has to be something that we'll adhere to or follow. So there could be things that people propose, even another area that I'm not big on. I've experimented a little bit, tiny bit, but cold plunging is very popular. And most of my life, if water was cold, could be 90 degrees outside, but if the water's cold, I'm probably not going in. I've gotten better with that, but I don't think cold plunge will be ever anything that I'm really going to immerse myself in. I enjoy saunas and hot tubs, but cold plunge. So again, it's something, what are we going to adhere to and follow? And then there's other factors that we might not think of, but about financial. There may be things that are proposed out there that could be very good for our longevity, our health span, but it could be costly. And another area would be the time involved. I'm super busy. I'm still working. I'm hoping to retire not too distant future, but I have a mom that's 87 years old and needs attention and help, and try to be with her, and other obligations and important things that makes time limited. And I know everybody's in the same boat, so there may be great things that influencers put out there. They may work, but do you have the finances to carry through? Do you have the desire, the will, the time? Each individual has to find out what's going to work for them. So when I talk about influencers, I kind of pick and choose what I like, what I can do, and really follow through on. And I feel that you need to do the same. Now, there's some of you out there that I am totally blown away and impressed that you see something or read something and it's part of your routine, just like that. Part of your routine, it's who you become. Anything I've ever done always generally takes time. The only thing I've been able to stick with for 50 years is I love to exercise, love to work out. So there's no issues there. But other things have been slow in coming. And we'll be talking about so many different areas along the way that hopefully you can relate to them. So with all that being said, let me get to my health span goals and longevity, and maybe help you to start thinking about yours and not necessarily picking what somebody else chooses. I mentioned I've been working out for 50 years. Working out, bodybuilding / for 50 years. I want to keep doing it. I'm 60 years old now. I want to do it in my 60s, 70s, 80s. If this world's still around and the system of things is still around, 90s and 100, I love it, and I want to be as strong as I can and keep doing it through that time. So that's a goal, and health span has to be good to do that. The world we live in today, more and more people, from aches and pains and just aging, they kind of struggle to be able to do things. For instance, we just went to a concert recently, Heart and Cheap Trick. And just from the names of the bands, you can tell it's probably a more mature crowd that goes to concerts like that. There were some younger people, but there's a lot of 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that were there. And just in our little section, I'm always observing people. There's quite a few that struggled getting up and down the stairs in the arena, and they only look like they're in their 50s and 60s. It's not like they were 80, but there's knee pain, chronic knee pain, back pain, maybe just not taking care of themselves necessarily, that brings it on too. So as you get older, we want to be able to do things. Like I said, I'm hoping to retire soon. Want to travel, want to be outside hiking and biking and doing all sorts of things. So really got to work at the health span. But realize that there's no guarantees when I say these things. I never want to sound like I'm criticizing anybody for having pain or suffering. I think I look at my mom. My mom's 87, and she's a beast. I don't think there's anybody like her. But she's had rough decisions and things that she's done, falls that she may not have, shouldn't have had, where she hurt her shoulder, actually broke her shoulder, and she's got mobility issues. And hard to put that into words and without getting too descriptive, but she does super well at that age, and a lot of people don't even live that long. but her quality of life for the last, let's say, 10 years, those the marginal decade, talk about what Peter Attia had mentioned, Dr. Attia, not the greatest, and she suffers a lot of pain and different health issues. But we want to do something about that. And again, I never want to sound critical to anybody. I want to encourage, actually, and motivate. Let's try to do something about it. So getting back to Healthspan, there's billions and billions of dollars being spent now on Healthspan and longevity, and it's very popular. The last several years, really, it's really come to the fore. But I'd have to say, about 30 years ago, I actually started thinking about it actively. Had the sad privilege back then of visiting folks in the hospital and nursing homes. First of all, my family, friends, and other individuals, where I was there pretty regularly. And it kind of hit me one day, and as I'm looking around, I would look at individuals, and I would think, how many of these people really have to be here? Now, again, there's no guarantees, and maybe no fault of their own, but how many really, really have to be here? If they made some subtle changes in their life along the way with things like diet and exercise, could they have avoided being in these places? Could they have, at the very least, postponed, maybe have another year or two at home? Maybe 3 to 5 years? How much can a person really do? Because I saw a lot of sad things and a lot of people suffering. And anybody I know who ever said, if I have to go in a nursing home, I'd rather not be living. That's how people view them. And yet today, it seems like there's nursing homes popping up left and right, and they're getting filled up. So more and more people are ending up that way. But do we have to? And I would think to myself, what can I do to not be in that position? And again, it was sad through the years to go there and see people. They were lonely besides being in there, but the suffering. So when I think of Healthspan, that's what motivated me, that I don't want to be dependent on others as I age. I want to be independent, and I want to enjoy life as best as can. Obviously, there's no guarantees. We're going to have aches and pains. We're going to have illnesses. But what can we do anything to minimize or postpone them a little? I'll give you several examples that show that there's no guarantees. So again, there's never anything critical here. I think of my brother. He passed away at 58, and he had heart issues, as I mentioned in another video. But I believe there's things he could have done along the way that 58 didn't have to be his number. There's other individuals. There's an influencer. He was a personal growth coach and speaker, Jim Rohn. Found him fascinating, and you can still find a lot of his stuff on YouTube. And he seems super knowledgeable, and he was involved somewhat in health-related companies. And he passed away at 79. And personally, in this day and age, I feel that if you do things right, again, there's no guarantees, because there's all kinds of sicknesses that can come up on people, or things like COVID or whatever, that nothing's guaranteed. But I feel 80 should be a reasonable age for many people. 80 should be reasonable. So when somebody like him, who had knowledge, 79 seems short. Another individual that I followed and learned a little bit about was Dr. Kavinson. Perhaps you've heard of him. He's a Russian scientist, and he was big with the biopeptide regulators, which we'll be talking about in the future, because I think they're a good thing and a reasonable thing. But he worked for the government and Vladimir Putin. He had everything at his disposal, and these biopeptide regulators have been used for decades in Russia and in Europe. So he had access to so many things, and I really don't know how he died, but he was only 77 when I see an individual like that, I think he has everything at his fingertips and disposal, especially in the science world, financial backing. It seems like that's 77 is very young to me for him to have passed away. And another example of that is a podcast I saw years ago with Tim Ferriss and Charles Poliquin. And I was first just getting into podcasts back then, and when I saw it, I thought, wow, this is a fascinating individual. He's a bodybuilder and a coach later in life, and he coached Olympic athletes, and hearing his diet and training, and still in his 50s, he had quite the physique and big arms, and he passed away at 57, I believe, heart-related. Don't know the exact, and again, these individuals, we don't know leading up to this what kind of things they may have done or suffered from, but there's no way when I saw an individual like that, I thought, okay, this fellow's going to live to 85 or 90 and be solid. But I use these examples just to show that there are no guarantees. The only guarantee there is, if we do nothing, that the outcome's not going to be in our benefit. I mentioned Jim Rohn earlier, and he had a funny saying. He was probably talking more in a financial world, that a lot of his motivation was that way, but it was in general life advice. And he'd say, people walk around crossing their fingers in life. Oh, I sure hope things get better. I sure hope my life gets better. And in a similar way, some might feel, I sure hope my health is good. But are they doing anything about it? The only guarantee, if we just do what we're doing and don't do anything, see, people are getting more and more unhealthy, immobile, suffering and pain, and ending up in hospitals and nursing homes. Again, there's no guarantee, but if we don't try, that's probably what's going to happen. So I'm determined to try for myself. I feel very optimistic that we can do stuff to be better, to be healthier. And that's why I want to motivate you and encourage you to look at your life and see things that you can do. And that's what my channel is really designed for, LZ23 Life, to encourage and motivate, inspire, educate, because we need education. I'll be talking in other videos of things that I didn't know and probably hurt me along the way. So hopefully educate you so that together we can exert ourselves, we can elevate our health, we can evolve in our body and mind to be our healthiest selves, and that we can live longer and stronger and really have a good health span. So thanks for watching. Leave the comments below, hit the subscribe button, leave any positive comments that you want to encourage me or others with, and we'll try to pass them along. And we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. Take care.